Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, and I welcome you to my namesake program, EnFuegotainment, for a Rapido Fuego review of, well, a series that I'm going to be doing from the first virtual edition of the Chattanooga Film Festival. Yeah, we all know the state of the world at the current moment and how congregating is really not the best idea. And so this is for the feature directorial debut of Zak Head, if I'm hopefully getting the name correctly, and then also it was a collaboration with star Brian Emmond, if I'm hopefully getting that one right as well. But this is from none other than the Vice Guide to Bigfoot, yo! Yeah, the yo part was just implemented by me, but as somebody who has mixed feelings about Vice, they're informative, they're cutting edge a lot of the time, but there is a certain hipster pretentiousness to their approach, and this film definitely captures it in spades, and it kind of pokes fun at them, which well, there's respect. I can appreciate that sort of just, you know, I don't know, playful ribbing a little bit, which is what this really boils down to. But in the same fashion of some of the Vice documentary and, you know, ongoing series stuff that I have checked out, where there's everything from the more serious, like going and checking out, you know, North Korea, which was one of the first Vice things I think I ever saw, all the way to, if I recall, there was a series about this guy who just goes and does different psychedelic drugs in different areas of the world and, you know, has communion and trips out and everything. So, hey, cool, you know, if it's popular with certain, it's kind of, well, maybe I should bite my tongue as opposed to, you know, shooting myself in the foot in this regard, but nonetheless, the Vice Guide to Bigfoot was one of my favorites of this virtual festival. I checked out a dozen different films. I was trying to find some more horror. This definitely, despite dealing with Bigfoot, it's not horror. It's definitely, you know, found footage comedy sort of thing, and it's very funny. Zak had, at least previously from what I was checking out on the IMDb, he had done some work on Squidbillies, and he had also done some work on Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. I think that was something, if I recall, that the Tim and Eric dudes did. So, yeah, I mean, he has the Adult Swim pedigree, which we know how sarcastic and over the top with their ridiculousness pretty much every program on there can be, unless you're watching something like, I don't know, Primal or reruns of some anime. But nonetheless, yeah, it does embody that spirit, which I really appreciate. And so Brian's character is basically this documentarian who is just, he's in so much just angst and aggravation to a degree, because he wants to make like hard-hitting, cutting-edge journalistic pieces as a documentarian and as a host and stuff, on camera person, and unfortunately he's getting sent to like the war-torn Ukraine to, you know, check out their craft beer scene. It's really funny, and he's even early in the film he realizes he's going neck and neck with this like pseudo hip-hop rapper, food-eating documentarian dude who is hilariously funny and has a joke that I don't want to spoil, but as I was tweeting back and forth with Zak a little bit earlier today before filming this review, it basically has to deal with, you know, an ass after 5 hours of yard work, man. I mean, there's some really prime hilarity in this flick, and so the assignment that Brian, our documentarian lead guy, who's the predominant one behind the camera, excuse me, in front of the camera, has to do, yeah, he is sent to Georgia to check out one of the largest gatherings of Bigfoot believers in the entire country, and he ends up getting linked up with this dude who has been just tracing, tracking, and writing. He has a published book about the Sasquatch to Bigfoot, whatever your name that you like to utilize for it is, and that, yeah, he's supposed to be the subject of this newest piece for Vice, and that's about as far as I really want to wade into. After watching this movie, I went back in a little research purpose and I watched the trailer. Don't watch the trailer to this movie. All that I did was read the synopsis that was on the Chattanooga Film Festival and their, you know, site as I was covering the event this past weekend, and it was all that I needed to know. You know, it was about, you're following this guy who believes there is a Bigfoot and the film crew who is there with him. That's it, because the trailer unfortunately spoils a big twist that happens later in the film, and I think that leaving that up to mystery or just a complete obliviousness is the better way to proceed. But the just aggravation of being on this particular assignment from our lead, he's wormy, he's funny, he really just, but you feel his pain and just his frustration over the fact that he so desperately wants to be a legit journalist in comparison, and there's funny interplay with him and his producer slash camera guy, so, you know, that's good. But there's also a very, very just amusing performance from this Bigfoot believer, and the fact that he has a wrecked marriage over just his constant pursuit of this, and he talks over and over about, yes, and, you know, but then when Jenny left me and stuff, and when our documentarian host like tries to prod and, you know, proceed and ask him some additional inquiries about it, he's having none of it, yet he keeps bringing it up, he keeps circling back to it, so it's funny. But yeah, I mean, as somebody who, with the Horror Show channel, which, you know, I've got like 1,000 subscribers here and yet 33,000 over there, yeah, I've done my fair share of Bigfoot horror stuff. Primal, I think, was one that I watched recently. Hoax was another one. So, I mean, I've seen the different sides of the spectrum. I find it a fascinating topic. I mean, hell, last year on this channel I even reviewed the man who killed Adolf Hitler and the Bigfoot, you know, with Sam Neill. That was a fun one. But this was just a really fun breath of fresh air compared to a lot of the more serious fare that I watched at this particular festival. Not that I don't enjoy that, but as somebody who adores my very self-involved art house kind of dramatic stuff, but yet also likes the lighthearted detours as well, this was really great counter-programming in contrast with a lot of the science fiction and a little bit of horror here and there at Chattanooga. A lot of it really quality too, and I'm going to be getting into as much of those different films as possible. But yeah, this really, I enjoyed the hell out of this. It was incredibly funny, great chemistry with both of our predominant people on screen, and even when it does veer into stuff that, you know, with our behind-the-scenes camera guy, our producer, that's good as well. You know, very just, I don't know, it brought the sort of lighthearted amusement that I needed, and it does, in the third act, veer into interesting territories without giving any sort of spoilery stuff, as I mentioned before. Once again, don't watch that trailer, because some of it is, unfortunately put on display. But, I mean, some of the funniest bits in the entirety are those brief little interactions with that rival host that dude is trying to ride to the airport with, and it is... oh man, it cracked me up so goddamn much. So yeah, I definitely recommend the living hell out of this, man. I don't know when it's actually going to be showing up on VOD or a streaming service or something, but it had previously played at the Austin Film Festival back in October of last year, so I'm glad that more people, myself included, were actually able to see it and that it showed up on their radars. So this needs to be on your radar to check out when y'all have the opportunity. This could have a place on Prime or a Netflix or Hulu, or it could go more for those genre sensibilities and get, you know, on Shudder, and I think it would have a perfect place there as well. They're gaining more prominence, prestige, respectability. AMC, the TV network behind them, so a lot of awesome eyes would get there too. So yeah, this gets 4 out of 5 Fuego fireballs from yours truly. That's right. This is a Fuego film, certified Fuego, as I like to say. So, gracias once again for everybody who's checking this brief little review out. I will have a lot more coming from the Chattanooga Film Festival, including reviews of Homewrecker. Boy, there was so much fun stuff. The Beach House was another one that I watched that I really enjoyed. There's some psychedelic stuff, psychedelic kind of sci-fi-ness that I will be veering into. So yeah, look forward to all of that. I've been Jaime En Fuego, and you can find more on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube with the EnFuegotainment stuff, which is where I geek out. I do Star Wars and superhero stuff, some, you know, book reviews occasionally, comics, but also I do art house, drama and, Academy contenders and things like that. So since I relaunched this channel about a year ago, I have been just filling it with as much content as possible. So like, share, subscribe, greatly appreciated. If if you've made it this far into the video, because we know how YouTube watch times are. And then if you like stuff of the more spectacular variety, including reviews of those 2 other Bigfoot films that are definitely more of the horrific fashion, you know, the aforementioned Primal and Hoax, you can definitely hop over to youtube.com/thehorrorshow channel, and that's where we do at least 1 video every day, in certain circumstances 2, but we're talking reviews of film, television, comic books, you know, occasionally novels. I do a weekly Stephen King show on Saturdays called Hail to Stephen King, over 2 episodes of that, or excuse me, 200 episodes of that over the course of the last 3+ years. Video game Let's Plays, unboxings, trailer reactions, a true smorgasbord of the spooktacular. So once again, greatly appreciate you stopping in here, and until the reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos, and constant readers and viewers alike. But I'm hopeful that we share more of this palaver sooner rather than later, and until then, stay in and watch more films. Do it now.